You're standing in line. You order the same thing you always order. $5. Tap, done. You've already forgotten it. But that $5 just quietly voted on your future. Buy that coffee every morning for 40 years and you will hand the counter $73,000. Same cup, same you. $73,000. Gone. One sip at a time. That's not a metaphor. That's just multiplication. And if you'd invested it instead, the number gets much bigger and much stranger. There's a famous idea in money that says this exact cup is the secret reason you're not rich. It's also one of the most savagely attacked ideas in personal finance. Here's the twist. Both of those are true. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how a $5 habit really adds up over a lifetime, and why cutting it might be the least useful thing you could possibly do about it. Start with the seductive version, because the math is completely real. $5 a day. Nobody feels $5. That's the entire trick. It's below the line where your brain bothers to file a warning. But $5 a day is $35 a week. It's about $150 a month. Stretch it across a year, and that quiet little cup has cost you $1,825. Now don't spend it. Invest it. Take that same $1,800 and put it into the stock market every year and let it earn about 7% annually, roughly what the market has averaged over the long run after inflation. Then don't touch it. Here's where it gets strange. The money you put in grows, then the growth grows, then the growth on the growth grows. That's compound interest, and it doesn't add, it multiplies. Your coffee money starts quietly earning coffee money of its own, and that new money goes to work too. In year 1, the growth is almost nothing, a few dollars. But by year 40, the interest alone is earning more each year than you ever put in. The engine stops running on your coffee money and starts running on itself. Wait long enough and the account can double without you adding a single cent. That's why the last stretch of this curve looks almost vertical, and why when you start matters more than how much you save. A 20-year-old's coffee money and a 40-year-old's coffee money are not the same money at all. One has decades to compound. The other is already running out of runway. After 30 years, your $1,800 a year habit isn't $73,000. It's about $172,000. Leave it 40 years? Around $364,000 from a coffee. That gap, 73,000 spent versus 364,000 grown, has a name. It's called opportunity cost. Not just what the coffee costs, but everything that money could have quietly become instead. This is the latte factor. A financial author named David Bach coined it back in 1999 with one gut punch question. Are you latteing away your future? And the pitch is intoxicating. You don't need a raise. You don't need to be clever. You just stop drinking the coffee and wealth appears, hiding in plain sight, one cup at a time. So, the math genuinely works. Small money plus time plus compounding becomes big money, which raises an uncomfortable question. If it's really this simple, why are so many people who actually understand money furious about it? Because the clean version has its thumb on the scale. Go back to Bach's original pitch. To make the final number look enormous, he rounded your 1,825 up to a tidy 2,000. He assumed the market would hand you 10, even 11% a year. And he quietly skipped past the two things that eat every real return alive: inflation and taxes. Inflation means the $364,000 you'd have in 40 years won't spend like $364,000 does today. It'll spend like a fraction of it. Taxes take another bite on the way out. And that smooth 11%? Real markets don't do smooth. They crash. They stall. They panic you into selling at the exact wrong moment. When the journalist Helene Olin reran Bach's famous $2 million promise using honest returns and real inflation, the whole thing collapsed to somewhere around $170,000. Still real money, but not the fantasy printed on the cover. And here's the part the pitch never mentions. The whole thing depends on a step that has nothing to do with coffee. You have to actually invest that $5 every day for 40 years without ever rating it. But most people who skip the latte don't invest a cent of it. They just spend it on a slightly bigger lunch. Money is like water. Block one leak and it finds another. Skipping the coffee saves you nothing if the $5 simply escapes somewhere else you're not looking. And even if you do invest every cent flawlessly, the order of the good years and the bad ones matters more than anyone tells you. A crash early on can quietly erase years of growth. A booming decade right at the end can hand you a fortune. You control neither. The clean chart pretends the market climbs in a tidy straight line. It never once has. So the math isn't a lie, it's just wearing heavy makeup. The coffee genuinely can become a small fortune, but only under near-perfect conditions almost nobody actually lives in. Which means the real question was never how big the number could get. It's whether that coffee was ever the thing worth cutting in the first place. Here's the criticism that really lands. Picture your whole month of spending as a bucket. The latte is one drop. Now look at the actual holes in the bottom. Your rent or your mortgage, your car, your insurance, what you pay just to borrow money. For most people, housing and transportation alone swallow half of everything they earn before a single coffee is even bought. The finance writer Ramit Sethi built an entire philosophy on this, and he's blunt. He is sick of experts telling you to skip the $5 latte because they're pointing at a drop while the bucket floods. He calls the things that actually matter the big wins, and there are basically three. 1. What you pay for a roof. Negotiating your rent, refinancing, or simply choosing a cheaper place can save you $200 or $300 a month, more than your entire yearly coffee habit, from one decision you make once and then never think about again. 2. What you drive. The gap between a $30,000 car and a $15,000 one is not a latte. It's $15,000 plus interest plus higher insurance for years. And whatever you borrow to buy it, compound interest now runs in reverse, working against you every single month on money you've already spent. 3. The giant nobody wants to hear. What you earn. You can only ever cut your spending down to zero. Your income has no ceiling. A single $10,000 raise invested quietly dwarfs 40 years of skipped coffees, and you don't have to give up one thing you love to get it. And there's a trap waiting on the other side of that raise too. It's called lifestyle creep. The moment you earn more, your spending silently rises to match. So the bigger paycheck vanishes into a bigger apartment and a nicer car, and you feel just as broke as before. That's the real leak, not the cup in your hand. So which is it? Is the coffee the problem, or the most convenient distraction from it ever invented? Both. And that's the part that finally makes this useful. The latte factor was never really about coffee. It's about a truth most people never feel happening. Small, invisible, automatic choices compound, for you or against you, every single day. That instinct is dead right. A drip, left alone long enough, becomes a flood. But the lesson is not punish yourself over $5. It's aim the drip at something that's actually big. Cutting the one small pleasure that genuinely makes you happy, while ignoring the $1,500 rent and the $30,000 car, isn't discipline. It's just misery, with no payoff at the end. And here's the quiet truth underneath all of it. Guilt is not a strategy. 100 tiny acts of self-denial you'll have quietly abandoned by February will never beat one boring decision you make once and automate forever. So keep the coffee if you love it. Then go win one big win instead. Automate a single transfer into an investment account before the money ever reaches your hands. Carve $100 off a bill you've never once bothered to negotiate. Ask for the raise you've been avoiding for a year. Do the boring, uncomfortable, once-a-year thing. The thing that moves $1,000, not $5. Because the magic was never in giving up the cup. It was in realizing you have far more power over your money than the guilt about a coffee ever let you believe. So be honest with me. Is your daily coffee actually keeping you broke? Or is that whole idea complete nonsense? Would you give up your $5 habit to be richer later? Or is life too short? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're wondering how anyone survived old age before retirement even existed, I made a whole video on it. What did people do before retirement existed? Click to watch it right here.